Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's start here. More KZN flood victims are being forced to leave buildings they were moved into after the 2022 disaster. Just last week, dozens were evacuated from the Bayside apartments in Durban's city centre. Now, families living at Weinmoore Court in Glenwood are also being evicted. We go live to Nobuhle Modise, who is on the ground where the removals are now taking place then, of course. Nobuhle, one thing is for sure is that we had gotten the assessment that they've bought a whole new building for more than 30 million rand this past weekend, according to the KZN Human Settlements MEC, Siboniso Duma. And yet this situation keeps on happening, unfortunately. What's the latest?
Indeed, you are correct, Arabile Siboniso Duma, over the weekend, making a very large announcement around that particular lodge that they've purchased for over 33 million rand, and this is expected to house, some of those victims from the 2022 April flooding, where about over 4,000 people were left displaced. And these kinds of scenes are something that we've seen post those floods many years later, where at some point about 2 years ago, there were still people being housed in halls, and then there were still some people who were displaced, who didn't really have anywhere to go. And you fast forward to now, people are now being evicted from the very same temporary shelter that they were put into. We understand that the issues at Bayside had to do with payments, and it seems like here at Weinmoore, it's also quite similar, where I was speaking to some of the residents here earlier who were telling me that the water and the power has been cut because of non-payment, and they also claim that the owner of the building is the one who's responsible and is behind this. But I do have with me someone from the municipality. I have with me Themba Mvubu, who is the chairperson for the Human Settlements portfolio at the eThekwini municipality, and he can shed some light on the situation here and why it is that these people are out on the street here today. Thank you very much, Mr. Mvubu, for your time. Perhaps let's start with, why are these people out on the streets? Similar scenes to last week. Why is this happening?
Well, thank you very much, and greetings to your viewers at home. We had, correctly as you've captured, the issue of floods 2022, and then many people were affected. So these are just parts of many victims that were displaced during the April floods. So what has happened is that, because I think it's important to give context in terms of the functions of government, the three spheres of government. We are the municipality, and we are correct. I'm the chairperson of Human Settlement and Engineering Committee here in the municipality of eThekwini. But the function of human settlement falls within the ambit of the national government as well as those of the provincial government. So when the floods took place, HDA, which is an entity of provincial government, undertook to go and look for buildings and entered into lease agreements with the private owners of these buildings so that they can be able to house the flood victims. That's exactly what's happened. Unfortunately, the lease, I'm told, came to an end of this particular building at the end of June. And then, of course, the owner of the building then said, I can no longer continue to house you because there are no funds that are coming in my direction. Now, I'm quite cognizant, as I've said, that we have no mandates as a municipality, not only at eThekwini, but across the country, over the issues of human settlement. We implement on their behalf. If we build houses, because as a metro we do build houses, but we build on their behalf based on the budgets that they give us. So even if there is any planning or termination of lease thereof, for us as the city, if we're to play any meaningful role, it will mean that we will have to get funds from those relevant spheres of government so that we can continue to assist these flood victims. But we did not fold our arms, of course. This is why I'm here. Upon being made aware there's a similar situation, because remember, a similar incident happened last week there in Bayside. And then again, we're on site as well to engage with the national government as well as with the provincial government. And again, I did exactly the same today, to speak with the relevant authorities in the provincial government to say, we have this situation now, and we are being embarrassed, frankly speaking, on your behalf, because this is your doing, this is your mandate. But people don't have this appreciation because this ejection is happening within the jurisdiction of eThekwini. So we have a responsibility, even though we are limited in terms of what is it that can be done. So I called the HOD to speak to him and say, please intervene, because we have a crisis there. We can't allow a situation whereby we are going to have young girls, women being sleeping outside in the cold, like we've saw those unpleasant scenes at Bayside. So he had made a commitment that he is going to extend with the landlord. I believe they've already had a discussion. So we are just waiting a confirmation letter. This needs to be confirmed by a landlord so that we can put these people back to the building.
So you're saying some functions do not fall within the ambit of the eThekwini municipality, and it's essentially the problem of the Human Settlements Department, who's been making very bold pronouncements on the media, of late, following that incident at the Bayside Hotel. But what I want to find out from you, lastly, before I let you go, will these people be sleeping out here? I know that you're saying you are here to come and lend a helping hand, but this really doesn't fall within eThekwini municipality's mandate. But what do you know about the situation and whether these people will be here come 6 p.m.?
If I were to take the words of the HOD, because he gave me this confirmation that he has instructed his office to send an email to the landlord, and he himself as well, he had spoken to the landlord so that we can house these people, so that we prevent a situation whereby these victims are going to sleep outside. So I can say yes, I don't foresee a situation whereby these victims are going to sleep outside based on the information that I received from the HOD.
Thank you very much. That's Themba Mvubu, who is the chairperson of the Human Settlements portfolio at the eThekwini municipality. If you'll allow me, Arabile, just very quickly, I want to bring in some of these people that have been evacuated here and hear what their side of the story is, because they seem to have a lot of issues as well. Ngiyabonga kakhulu mama, mhlambe wena ungasichazela ukuthi indaba nila ngaphandle. Sengizwile ukuthi umasipala uthi inkinga ikephi, kodwa wena njengomhlali wala mhlambe usicacisele ukuthi ufike kanjani ukuthi nibe la ngaphandle.
Umasipala uye wafika la uzokhipha some of people oba ukade ubayise endaweni ezahlukahlukene okubaleka kuona uZwelibovu, i-Dozen Walk, uNtuzuma, bese kuba uMgababa. Lezo indawo sithe njengamalungu ekomiti masithi besanda ukuhamba befika lapha sasithola ama report ukuthi abahlalisekile lapha. Abanye abacomplaina ngendaba zama toilet, ukuthi ama toilet awekho, awakoqedwa, aqediwe ukulungiswa njenganabantu abazohlala ezindlini, aqediwe ukulungiswa. Okuwukuthi kuyinkinga ukuthi uzongena kanjani endlini engena toilet. Kwezinye indawo amanzi awekho, akhiwa ngaboJojo tank, akhiwa ngeinsuku ezithize, which means uma ukade ungekho ngalelo langa ngeke usawathola amanzi wena. Kunezingane ezincane, bakhishwe nanezingane ezincane. Lezi izingane lezi zizogezwa ngani, zizodla kanjani, zizophekelwa ngani amanzi engekho? And i-safety yalezi indawo ezinye zazo ayikho. Nini lakhishwa khona base Astra? ngolesihlanu bakhipha base Astra. Then must befike Astra bafaka abantu ama officials afaka abantu ezindlini ezinabanikazi bazo. Mefaka abanye babafake ezindlini ezinabantu abagula ngamakhanda.
Mhlambe sisi awusichazele sivele saxoxa ungasitshela igama lakho, ngicela uqale ngokunika igama lesibongo.
Igama nguBusi ngwakamkhize Sibongo.
Okay, mamkhize mhlambe ukuvala nje lana akunamanzi akunagesi nenze njani?
La 3 weeks last month bongekho ugesi. Bathi bazosibuyisela, basitshela futhi ukuthi for temporary, nangempela kube yitemporary. Sithe sajabula ukuthi ugesi sesinawo, ugesi uhambile, awusekho futhi manje. West Part izolo basithathele amanzi, kunama toilet aflashwayo la ngaphakathi, sinezingane kumanje ama toilet ayanuka la ngaphakathi awaflashiwe. Okuyimpilo enzima kuthina leyo, akuhlalisekile. Umasipala usithe usinakekele wasusa emahholo ethu wathi uzosinakekela namhlanje siphenduka amaphilwe impuphu bahamba besishutheka noma inkuphi la befuna ukusishutheka khona ukuthi safety khona noma yikho abanandaba bayasishutheka njengamaphilwe impuphu i-complaint yethu leyo njengomphakathi uthi thina sifuna ukusuka la siye endaweni eyodwa ezosikwazi ukuthi isifake sonke including labantu asebebahambisile ngoba vele kune complaint ukuthi abahlalisekile kahle la behlezi khona.
You heard there, Arabile, from the official from the eThekwini municipality, as well as a resident who quite, sadly is saying that the municipality at this point, or the officials that are responsible for moving them around since the tragedy in 2022, have been treating them, inhumanely, saying they've been, moved around to different places, being put in different places. And one of the reasons why they don't want to leave here is because they claim that some of the places that they are putting some of these residents that are being evicted from the temporary shelters where they are at the moment, is that they're moving them to places that are already occupied, where you'd find families already living in those units, and they are then forced to share space with strangers. So they are saying that they're sick and tired of these inconsistencies, and would really just like the government to treat them as the human beings that they are, and move them to permanent residence that has a basic service delivery. As at the moment, as we speak, this building behind me doesn't have any water, doesn't have electricity, and this is an issue you would have heard there. The official from the eThekwini municipality, saying that this is not their issue, this does not fall within their ambit, but is something that has to be dealt with by the Human Settlements Department in the province and, in essence, nationally.
Yeah, the complaints here are really about clarity. Really just needing decisiveness and greater clarity on this one. Nobuhle Modise, thank you so much for helping us unpack that a little bit more and getting the words and the complaints, of course, then of the residents in and around the area there as well. In Glenwood, Weinmoore Court is where some of those families had been living in, of course. Then we had been continuing to get a greater sense of understanding what might happen here. Of course, a new lodge being purchased then by the Department of Human Settlements in KwaZulu-Natal, having bought that from Transnet for over 30 million rand this past weekend, was the word from Siboniso Duma from that department there. So we'll try and get you more on that story.